Hi, I'm Don Stegall. I've made a number of videos on sheeting Quickie wing cores and on making fiberglass fuselages. I've never made any videos about making molds, so I'm going to make some new molds, and I'm going to videotape the process as I do it and share it. It'll be a multi-part series. This video is actually going to be a short version and a long version. The short version is just an overview of what I'm going to be doing, but in the long version I'm going to show you some stuff that I've done in the past. This is a half of a Vortex tail. It was on an airplane where half of the tail was crashed, and what I've done is I've glued the elevator in place and I filled it, and on the center section I added some balsa because I wanted the tail to be long enough and I needed the extra space. So this needs to be primed, and I'm going to use a filling primer to get all the little gaps and seams out of it before I actually start. But what I'm going to show you is a tail that I've made already so that you can see what to expect in the end. This was the mold for a new tail for a Q40 called the Sleepy. Jerry Small had made the airplane, and I'm not sure who made the tail molds, but Jerry had suggested adding a little bit more area to it. And one of the nice things about it is it made this tail usable on Quickies as well. And it's just made from 1/4 inch sheet balsa with plywood inlays on the edges, and it's shaped, but it's not fully airfoiled, and it's a 110-degree tail. This is an actual tail produced from the molds. You can see that it's got pretty nice flexibility on the elevator. The way I made the mold is I made this parting plate out of MDF and 1/8 inch masonite, and the 1/8 inch masonite made it easy to put the plug into the parting plate, and then before I put the plug in, I put clay around the inside edges and sealed it. Made a mold. Well, first I waxed everything up, sprayed parting film on it, then I put epoxy surface coat on it and built up layers of fiberglass. And when I was done with that, I took it off of here with the tail remaining in that half of the mold, and then I waxed and sprayed parting film on that half and made the other half of the mold. This was the first set of V-tail molds I made, and I made it a little thin because I use all cloth. Now I use fiberglass mat, which actually does work with epoxy. Now I've sprayed gray primer into these molds, but you can see that the part just goes right there. And the nice thing about composite parts is when they come out of the mold, they're almost done. On the bottom half of the mold, I drilled 2 holes for the torque rods, so while I'm assembling it I can put the torque rods in place. And you'll see that there are screw holes around the mold so that it can be clamped together. One of the things I didn't show on the parting plate is that I drilled countersunk holes in the corners so that when I made the molds, they would be self-aligning. So from this I will make molds, and then I'll make the plug pieces in those molds, and then I'll join them together, and I'll have a complete V-tail mold. Now on the Smasher, it uses a bolt-on tail, and I'll have to make a different tail for it. So that's why making a mold from this is worthwhile, because I can make different sets of molds at different tail angles and try different things easily. So I think it's going to be a fun project. I have a molded composite Quickie called the Smasher, and the Smasher uses a bolt-on tail. It fits right into a saddle that is at 0 degrees to the firewall. That made it easy to make the plug, and it made getting the alignment perfect, or nearly perfect, very easy. This is the parting plate that was made for the Smasher. It was actually the second set of molds I made for a V-tail, and this is the plug. You can see I have the countersinks for the screws already in place. Some people don't like these Vortex dissipators. Some people feel they're extra drag, and that's one reason I'm making a new tail. But also, this was a 1/4 inch flat plate tail, sharpened at the leading edge and trailing edge, and I filled in and made it fit so that it fits on the fuselage well. And the way this was made was similar to the other one. The plug was put in here. You saw the clay that's still in there, and I used the same process I used on the Sleepy tail. And I get nice tails out of this set of molds. This one was a little stiff because I put Kevlar full length on the hinges. That's why it's not been used or gone on to somebody else. But on this one I used a balsa colored filler, so it looks kind of cool too as a natural finish. I may do some more that way. This tail fits onto the Smasher fuselage. This is the Smasher Quickie 500. Kevin Matney at Matney Models has the molds for the fuselage and for the tail. It uses a NACA 66 012 airfoil. It's got a slightly longer tail than a lot of Quickies, and some people had trouble with balance because they were putting the servos up under the rear wing hold down, and they actually need to be a little bit farther than that. But the tail just fits right on and bolts right on, and that's one of the nice things about molded composite airplanes, is that they just fit together and you don't have to mess with a lot of fitting. And because the saddle is at 0 degrees to the wing, you can actually put a conventional tail on the Smasher, and if you don't like V-tails or just want to try a regular tail for some reason. Because making molds is a lot of trouble and effort. It's not really trouble, it's fun, but you do spend a fair amount of money on epoxy and fiberglass cloth and whatever you use to make your molds with. One thing I wanted to be able to do is produce as many sets of molds for the smasher as I wanted to. So I created male molds from the female molds before they were ever prepped for actual production use. And I haven't even trimmed the edges off of these because I haven't made another set of tails, but like I said, Kevin Matney has the molds for this tail, and I will make some more. So one thing I've got to do is I've got to sand these, and I got to trim them up and sand them and get them ready to make a new set of molds. Back in 2008 or 2009, Dave Norman made a plug for a Quickie tail with the understanding that I would make the molds and that I would make male molds and make those molds available to other people. It's an airfoiled tail. I believe Dave either won or came in third place at the Quickie 500 Nats with an airplane with a tail produced from the mold. You can see that I used some extra clay to get it aligned because it was an airfoiled tail. It required a little bit more effort getting the parting plate perfect. But I did make male molds, and I've made 2 other sets of molds besides the original set from these molds, and I'm going to make a video on how to make the molds from the existing male molds. It'll be going in parallel with the other project. Molds for this tail are available. They're not inexpensive because it takes a fair amount of epoxy and time and effort to make a set. But if you don't want to shape your own V-tail and make your own molds, but you want to try and make some composite parts, you can get a set of molds. And this is a proven tail, and of course the point of this video was about the Vortex tail that I'm going to clone, and I'll make male molds from any sets of V-tail molds I make using the Vortex tail. Thanks for watching my videos. I hope you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep watching the videos, and post comments, post feedback, send me emails. I'm on Facebook, and I get a lot of emails, so if you have any questions, post them on the YouTube section for comments, and check out the links in this video for my RC calculators and drill bit charts applications. They're available on Android. Drill bit charts is available on Windows Phone, and the others will be available on Windows 8 store applications and on iOS, iPhone, and iPad, hopefully sometime around the end of the year. And thanks for watching. Hope you'll keep up with how things progress, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.